Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Chef Yusuf Show, where we learn to cook the Islamic way. This is another Ramadan special, and today I'm gonna prepare a dish that is inspired by my father. It's my father's recipe. It is fish with mangoes. Okay, the topic of fish in the Quran, it is something I want to touch upon and give you some, especially in Surah Al-Kahf. You know, when it is related to traveling, and since it is Ramadan, and maybe we can talk about the hukum or the rules of traveling while fasting. You know. So let's go ahead and get started, inshallah. Alright, now to get started, I just want to say that this is one of the dish where we want to play with the tongue and manipulate the palate. Last time we talked about manipulating the palate, I gave some of the examples, the things that could play different parts of the tongue. I talked about, olives and cherry tomatoes and capers with chicken, right? So a lot of you guys were wondering, like, okay, give us another example, right? Because manipulating the palate is something really is hard to do, right? I mean, what else can we do? So this is another example of how to manipulate the palate, and we're gonna go ahead and start with the fish. This is ready filleted fish, right? I'll show you how to fillet your fish in another episode, but because we are in the month of Ramadan, it is a month of worship. It is not a month of cooking, right? So we're gonna go ahead and buy the fish already filleted, so we won't take a lot of time to fillet it, right? We're gonna put this in the grill, and depending on how thin it is, it's gonna take, depends on how long you're gonna cook it for. But the type of fish, this is a sway fish. You can use tilapia fish, you can use any type of fish. You can even use the red fish, maybe red steel will work also. Catfish will also work, right? Catfish, you might want to flip it in the oven, but this is because it is thin, you probably will not have to flip it. So we're gonna go ahead and put some olive oil. We're gonna drizzle some olive oil on each side of this fish. You can add some of the black pepper. If you want to add some salt, you can go ahead and add some salt. If you want to add some soy sauce, you can add a little bit of soy sauce. So the way I do this is I put this in the oven, and I put it in the broil on the highest rank of the boiler, right? Only for 5 minutes, so it will be crisp in the top, right? After 5 minutes, I take it out and put it in the middle rack, and take off the broiler. Just put it in the oven. Again, depending on the size of the fish, it will depend on what temperature, but we want to go ahead and cook the fish thoroughly. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and use a 400-degree oven, okay? And it should not take long, and the way we know that it is well done, we'll go ahead and poke it with a fork to make sure that it is fully cooked. So let's go ahead and put that in the oven. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and prepare the sauce. And this sauce will go on top of the fish when the fish is well done. This is a mango type sauce that we're gonna add on top of the fish. And for the sweetness, we're gonna add mangoes. Now mangoes can also be sour. So if you have sour mangoes, you'll put sweet apples. And if you have sweet mango, you'll put sour apples, right? So there we have the sweetness, we have the sourness, and we have the saltiness from the soy sauce. We have savory from the onions. If you need more sourness, we can put lemon juice. If you need more sweetness, we can add maybe some raspberry, maybe a small amount of raspberry. So we'll go ahead and start by cooking the onions. And always remember, when you make fish, onions go pretty well with fish. You have onions, you have shallots, go ahead and put them. Me personally, I do not like to put garlic. Just a preference, personal reference. I do not like to put garlic. So if you're preparing fish, you don't know what to put, you always want to remember to put onions. Onions and fish, they go pretty well together. Now I do have some herbs here. I have some mint. If you have some rosemary, if you have some sage, if you have whatever herbs that you want to put, you can go ahead and add it, because we're going to go ahead and remove this. This is just for flavor, okay? So we'll go ahead and add any type of herbs that we have. Right now the onions are a little bit soft. We'll go ahead and add the mangoes. We'll add the apples. prepare some of the sauces. We'll put some lemon juice, we'll put some soy sauce, and we'll put some little bit of olive oil, and maybe some of the balsamic vinegar. You know, I know a lot of guys will say that balsamic vinegar, it has some alcohol. It is true, some balsamic vinegar, what they do, they mix wine with balsamic vinegar and they sell it as a product, which is true. You do not have to put balsamic vinegar, but the topic of balsamic vinegar, is it halal or is it not halal? It is something that we have to kind of be careful about, right? Because there are some alcoholic beverages that will be mixed with certain vinegars and they will be sold in the market. So keep an eye on that. If you want to keep it on the safe side, I always love to keep it on the safe side. We'll just put a little bit of apple cider vinegar, just apple vinegar, just a little bit with some soy sauce. Maybe some lemon, either put the juice of a lemon or just put some of the volcano lemon juice. We can add a little bit more of the olive oil, not too much because we do have olive oil all over the place. Now, if you do want to spice this thing up, like putting some herbs, you can add whatever herbs you want. As soon as we see the mangoes, you know, breaking up and the onions are really soft, we'll go ahead and add the sauce on top, and we'll wait, you know, for it a little bit to mix together, right? Now, I know what you guys thinking, especially for the people in the Middle East or in the eastern side of the world. You guys thinking, what are you doing putting mangoes in fish, right? And this is an attitude that the older generation had, right? Like, for example, my grandfather, he passed away, so may Allah have mercy on his soul. But so what happened when my uncle got married? He was married to someone from Pakistan, right? So they invited him and they had like a really nice chicken with some apples, right? And they had curry in it, right? So he ate the apple and he was like, it was really delicious, and he praised the food, right? And my father was telling me the story that when he knew it was apple, he was like, he got upset. He's like, how dare you put apples in something that is spicy, right? And he wouldn't eat anymore and he left. Right? So this is something that we see. Or the other day, one of my friends, he marinated the fish with milk and he got upset. So sometimes that we are used to maybe tradition that we're not supposed to mix few things with other things. So alhamdulillah, our new generation, you know, we do have the internet, and we do see that you know, there is a lot of cultures that with a lot of taste, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, you know, Allah made us tribes and nations and tribes so we can know each other, we can taste each other food, not to kill each other and whatever is going on these days, right? So mango and fish is something that you might wanna, it might be a little bit surprising for the family, but it is something that, you know, I encourage a lot of people to try new things. Inshallah, we'll go ahead and add the sauces now. Okay, and as you see, what you want to do, put the temperature a little bit lower, maybe a little bit more lower, and leave this until the fish is well done, right? So we'll go ahead and close it, and let's go ahead and talk about our topic, right? We did mention about traveling and fasting, so let's go ahead and talk about the subject. It's not a long subject. Basically, in Islam, if somebody was traveling, he has the opportunity or the license or the permission not to fast in the month of Ramadan. Allah gives us the permission not to fast, and when we do not fast, that is like acting upon that license, and we will also be rewarded, right? The same thing with older people, you know, or when you travel, you can combine the prayers, right? This is part of the sunnah that will be rewarded for it, right? So generally, if we're traveling, especially back in the days when it was really hot and you had a camel, right? It was really making it easy on the believer, right? And this is what basically the theme of Islam always. Allah does not want to make things hard upon the believer in his worship, right? Allah wants things to be easy, but at the same time, we have to respond to Allah's call, right? So if Allah tells us to fast, why do we fast? We don't need a medical scientific reason. No, because Allah told us to fast, and this is how we become Muslim, is to surrender to Allah's laws. Okay. So what is the distance? A lot of people ask, what is the distance? Of course, do not take it from me. The best answer is for you to go and ask your local scholar. Some of people say 53 miles, some people say 80 kilometers. It could depends on the time and the location and the age that we live in. So inshallah, let's go ahead and ask our scholars about these things, and be guys careful from anyone on a keyboard giving fatwas. Just to let you know, anybody can give fatwa behind a keyboard. So you want to go and talk to your local community about that, inshallah. So let's put that aside. I have another important topic, the topic of fish. When I started cooking, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions fish as a, something that is tayyib, right? Right? Allah mentions in the Quran that the meat of fish, it is halal upon us, it is a tayyib fish, right? So I always was recommending to eat fish wherever we can, because the health benefits, because of the nutritions it has. But a few years ago, when I saw the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, I started wondering about the verses in Surah Al-Kahf about how Allah mentions the fish. And I came to the conclusion that in Akhir Zaman, because the Surah Al-Kahf is related to Akhir Zaman, the end of time, the time of Dajjal, right? The fish has a quite important role to play in our society. So I came to the conclusion that either we eat the fish or we stay away from the fish, right? So I start doing a study between farmed fish versus natural fish. Of course, the wild fish, wild caught fish is more nutrition. The one in the farm, who knows what they feed them? The farmers, who knows what the farmers feed those fish? So I started doing a comparison, like what is the difference? But when I saw the catastrophe of Japan, and especially for salmon fish, because if you look at Alaska, if we dragged out the map, and if you look at the map and you look where the radiation is leaking from the ocean, is going to that part of Alaska, part of Russia, right? That's where it's rich in salmon fish, right? There was a new, not a recent study that tuna was contaminated with the radiation, and what the health agency did is they raised the level of contamination so they will be able to sell it in the market. So technically it's not safe, but because the government said it's safe, we're supposed to eat it. So I started to back away from natural caught fish, and we do need a study about the subject. But the idea of mentioning this fish in the surah that has to do with the Dajjal in Akhir Zaman, it is something important. Perhaps that Muslims have to start fish farming, right? Farming the fish. Since we see these spills and these nuclear waste and these, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that pollution has been visible in the, this is by the way a very bad translation, so I'm going to do my best, inshallah. I'll put the reference for the ayah. Go ahead and look it up and study it. Pollution has been shown in the soil and in the oceans. From who? Not from BP and not from the Japan nuclear, no, it's from what we brought with our own hands. So we all humanity are responsible for this pollution, right? And inshallah, take our fish out. Oopala. Just a simple plating technique. Nothing really interesting, and depending on how much sauce you like, you can either put it on the side, you can either put a little bit on top, right? We can add maybe some lemon with this, and we can serve as is, or we can serve it with rice, or we can eat it with bread. It's really up to your taste, okay? So this is a quite easy dish. It took us 4 or 5 ingredients to make, and the taste, it is wonderful. I want you to give me some comments of what you think about our mango fish. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that you learned something today. We'll talk to you next time, inshallah, and remember to say Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum.